What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams. Happy Wednesday. A little bit later today than normal. I apologize. But today we're going to be taking a look at Mona Lisa Smile, starring Julia Roberts, Kirsten Dunst, Julia Stiles, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Ginnifer Goodwin, Laura Allen, Tori Amos, Marcia Gay Harden, Topher Grace, Kristen Ritter, John Slattery, and Dominic West. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Know we're a little bit later than normal. I do apologize for that. But we're here today to discuss Mona Lisa Smile. And our movie takes place in 1953 when Catherine Ann Watson, a 30-year-old grad student from the Department of Art History at UCLA and Oakland State, takes a position teaching the history of art at Wellesley College. During her first class, Catherine discovers that her students have memorized the entire textbook and syllabus. So she introduces them to modern art, encouraging discussion about what is good art and what isn't. Catherine comes to know the students, seeking to inspire them in order for them to achieve more than just marriage. Now, the opinionated Elizabeth Betty Warren is an outspoken conservative. She doesn't understand why Catherine isn't married, and she insists that a universal standard must exist for good art. She writes editorials for the college newspaper, exposing the campus nurse, who is a lesbian, as a supplier of contraception, which results in her termination. Other editorials attack Catherine for advocating that women seek a career instead of being wives and mothers. Now, Betty cannot wait to marry her boyfriend, Spencer, and expects the traditional exemptions from attending class as a married woman. However, Catherine insists that she will be marked on her own merit instead. Constance, Connie Barker, begins to date Betty's cousin, Charlie, but Betty tells her that he is together with Deb McIntyre. Believing her, Connie cuts ties with him. However, some weeks later, Connie and Charlie reconnect with him, telling her that he had stopped seeing Deb after the previous summer. Meanwhile, Joan Brandwin considers studying law, so Catherine encourages her to apply for Yale Law School. When she's accepted, she still opts to play the role of a housewife to Tom Donegal. She then proceeds to tell Catherine that choosing to be a wife and a mother does not reduce her intelligence. Giselle Levy has several lovers and liberal views about sex, and she admires Catherine for encouraging the students to be more independent while at the same time becoming an enemy of Betty's. Catherine declines a marriage proposal from her long-standing California boyfriend as she just doesn't love him enough. And then she begins to see fellow professor Bill Dunbar. Now, Bill is charming and full of stories about Europe and heroic actions in Italy during the war. He also has had affairs with students, including Giselle, so Catherine makes him promise that he will cut it out. The relationship progresses, but Catherine learns that Bill spent the entire war at the Army Languages Center on Long Island, so she breaks up with him for lying. He responds by saying that she didn't come to Wellesley to help the students find their way, but rather to find her own way. Betty's marriage then begins to fall apart after Spencer neglects her and Giselle sees him with another woman. Rather than offering support, Betty's mother orders her to return to her husband. Betty visits Giselle in her dorm and attacks her promiscuity, but eventually allows Giselle to comfort her. Afterwards, Betty regrets how she has treated Catherine with her poor behavior. Eventually influenced by her, Betty files for a divorce and looks for an apartment in Greenwich Village with Giselle. When Betty's mother confronts her for what she has done, Betty reveals her frustrations towards her due to the lack of support shown when she needed it the most. She says that the only person who cared enough to help her when she needed it was Catherine. Betty then tells her mom that she is going to begin a life on her own. Catherine's course is so popular that she is invited to return, but only under certain conditions. She must follow the syllabus, submit lesson plans for approval, stop giving private advice to scholars, and keep a strictly professional relationship with all faculty members and students. However, Catherine decides to leave in order to explore Europe. Betty decides to dedicate her last editorial to Catherine, calling her an extraordinary woman who lived by example and compelled us all to see the world through new eyes. As she leaves in a taxi, all of her students follow on bicycles, with Betty reaching out to say goodbye as the taxi speeds away and our movie comes to its close. This was a fun, chick flick esque movie with a tremendous all star cast. Kirsten Dunst, Julia Roberts, Ginnifer Goodwin, Julia Stiles, Maggie Gyllenhaal, like the list goes on here. Julia Roberts, obviously, you guys know I've been a fan of her for a while. You guys have heard me talk about Pretty Woman, which I'll link up here if you've never seen that review. Kirsten Dunst, obviously, I know her best from being Mary Jane in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series. You know, she's done so many great things. She was a real B in this movie, like for real. She was the role of Betty, and she just made it very easy to not like her at all. Maggie Gyllenhaal, you know, sister of Jake Gyllenhaal, did a tremendous job in here. But the one that I always have my eye focused on is Julia Stiles. I became such a fan of hers in the mid 2000s thanks to my ex, my daughter's mom, who introduced me to a good chunk of her filmography. 10 Things I Hate About You, Save the Last Dance, Oh, This, etc. I love me some Julia Stiles. She is so beautiful and she's got that classic beauty to her. Love watching her in just about anything. I think the only major thing that I've never seen her in is the Bourne trilogy. But I digress. That'll be down the road because that's a whole franchise at this point. But this is a great coming of age story for a time when women were expected to be barefoot, pregnant, you know, taking care of the house, dinner on the table by 5 o'clock, stay home. You're not going to work. You're not going to have a life outside these doors. You're essentially going to be a servant to your husband. And Julia Roberts trying to tell these people, these girls on the verge of womanhood, you can be so much more than that. And how willing are they to receive this when they've been programmed this way for 18, 19, 20 years? Because they're all college girls. And when you've got something that's been programmed into you for so long, you tend to resist the new. And again, especially in 1953, like this was the norm. Nowadays, it would be so much easier to reprogram those girls. But in the 50s and even into the early 60s, it wasn't that easy. There was a blueprint, if you will, a stereotype as to what a young woman had to be. Again, housewife, mother, homemaker, cook, barefoot, pregnant, dinner on the table when the husband walks in the door from work. Like, there were expectations, right or wrong. And trust me, I'm not saying they were right, but right or wrong, there were expectations that needed to be followed back then. And here's Catherine, Julia Roberts, trying to shatter that door and be like, no, go to law school. If that's your dream, follow it. Such a great message to this story. Just such a good movie all the way around. I want to say this was the second time I had seen it because again, I was exposed to it back in the mid 2000s and then watching it now for this, but such a good film. When it comes to my rating for this one, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I feel that's a great place to put it. What do you guys think of Mona Lisa Smile? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel for another week of Throwback Thursday content. That's right, it's back to the vaults for more episodes of the ATW View, more episodes of the No DQ Review, plus Talk Wrestling, Dad's on Wrestling, Stat Boy Rants, Renegade of Wrestling, Double Down with Double A, the No DQ at AV, and so much more. And then we will be back on Friday for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, and I'll be discussing Mr. Holland's Opus, starring Richard Dreyfuss, Glenn Headley, Jay Thomas, Olympia Dukakis, William H. Macy, Joanna Gleason, Alicia Vitt, Forrest Whitaker, and Terrence Howard. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Throwback Thursday, Mr. Holland's Opus, and so much more coming this month right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Again, you don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Julia Roberts, fans of Julia Stiles, fans of Kirsten Dunst, fans of Maggie Gyllenhaal, fans of Ginnifer Goodwin. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them, as it's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up in YouTube's algorithms now that we are in fact a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thank you once again for everybody out there who joined me and tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.